The streets of Ejagunal didn't care who you were, no matter your dreams, your intelligence, or your prayers. The cracked concrete beneath your feet stayed the same, hot, uneven, and unforgiving. But Nardia Abraham walked those streets differently. Even as a teenager, carrying her mother's fruit basket on her head and her siblings clinging to her skirt, there was something in her eyes that said, "I won't stay here forever." Her mother used to say, "Your mind is your map, Nardia. Don't let it trap you in these alleys." At 16, Nardia earned the best score in the entire district's WAEC. At 18, she got a full scholarship to the University of Lagos to study computer science. And at 24, she stepped into the polished, glass lobby of innovative, Hubertech giant with clients across Africa and beyond. Her offer letter read like a dream: 6-figure salary, company car, high-rise apartment in Lekki, medical insurance, gym membership, and an access badge with her name etched in silver. Nardia Abraham, software engineer. That night, her mother cried into her lap. "You've made me proud," she whispered. But the first seed of distance was planted that same evening, when Nardia turned her phone on silent after the second call from home. "They'll understand," she told herself. "I'm busy now." Within months, Nardia's routine changed completely. Boat rides replaced buses. She started drinking matcha lattes and learning Japanese. Her colleagues praised her speed and sharpness. "Nardia doesn't just code," her team lead once joked. "She dances with the system." And she did, with ease. But with every compliment, something hardened inside her. She stopped calling her mother regularly. When she did, it was always rushed. "Mummy, I can't talk long. I'm in between meetings." She stopped sending money home unless her siblings begged. Then came the day she told Topia, her childhood best friend, "You should think about taking a short course or something. These market jobs won't keep up with life." Topia had blinked. "I thought we were just having lunch." Nardia smiled stiffly. "We're just not in the same circle anymore." From that day, she never called Topa again. She replaced old friends with business contacts. She changed her accent slightly. She started posting curated photos, flat lays of her workspace, motivational captions, pictures in elevators holding coffee cups. Comments flooded in. "Boss lady, you're such an inspiration." Soft life activated. No one saw her mother anymore. No one knew where she came from. That was how she liked it. It was a Friday afternoon when things started to turn. She'd just finished debugging a payment feature for a new fintech app. Her entire team clapped. Even Jonathan Okoye, the elusive CEO, replied with a rare thumbs-up emoji through his assistant. "Weekend loading," Nardia muttered with a smirk as she tossed her access badge into her Gucci bag. Coconut rice. That's what she craved. And no one made better spicy chicken and peppers than Mama Chidinma at the Central Market. She parked her Lexus slightly far from the market gate. It was too dusty for her. Tyazan walked in with confidence, head high, sunglasses reflecting the afternoon sun. She ignored greetings from traders, stepped past queues, and stopped at a pepper stand, pointing quickly at what she wanted. That's when someone touched her wrist gently. "Please, my daughter," came a frail voice behind her. "Even if it's just 100 naira. I haven't eaten all day." Nardia didn't turn at first. She stiffened. Then she jerked her hand back. "Remove your hand from me," she snapped. The woman held out her palm again. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you." Nardia turned, glaring. The woman was wearing a faded wrapper and an oversized blouse, her hair covered in a dusty scarf. She looked tired, fragile, but still holding herself with strange dignity. "I said don't touch me," Nardia barked. "Do I look like your class?" People began to glance over. A few slowed their steps. The woman didn't respond, just blinked, surprised. "You beg because you're lazy. You think everyone owes you. I'm Nardia Abraham. I work at Innovative Hub. Ever heard of it?" She laughed, tossed her braids back. "Of course not. Your children could never work there." Gasps, murmurs. A phone was raised somewhere in the back. Then, in one shocking motion, Nardia lifted her leg and kicked the woman square in the shin. The woman stumbled backward and fell into the dust. Her wrapper crumpled, her headscarf slipped. The market froze. Someone whispered, "She's old enough to be your mother." Nardia bent slightly, lowering her sunglasses. "Next time, look at who you're talking to." Then she turned, straightened her bag strap, and continued walking. Behind her, a tall man rushed to help the woman. Someone else shouted for water, but Nardia didn't look back. She bought her peppers and chicken. She even haggled over the price. The sky was a perfect soft pink by the time she walked back to her car. Inside, she turned up the Afrobeats and smiled to herself. Some people just needed to learn their place. Saturday morning rolled in like a lazy tide, calm and unbothered. Nardia woke up late, sunlight filtering through the white blinds of her Lekki apartment. Her room smelled faintly of vanilla candles and new money. She stretched, yawned, and checked her phone. No messages from home. A few DMIs, some likes on her latest poster mirror selfie, captioned, "Soft life only. If you know, you know." She didn't think of the market. Not once. Not the woman. Not the kick. The woman was just another anonymous beggar. And Nardia had things to do, places to be. She made breakfast sourdough toast, eggs, green smoothie and spent the rest of the day doing her nails, watching a K-drama, and scrolling through tech gossip on Twitter. Sunday followed with the same energy. Gym in the morning, brunch with her colleague Bimp, and a little work on a side project. She smiled as she looked out over the Lekki lagoon from her balcony, a glass of wine in hand. Nothing had changed. But somewhere across the city, in a room, with marble floors and glass windows that stretched from floor to ceiling, a different kind of Sunday was unfolding. "Are you sure, Mama?" Jonathan Okoye asked. He stood across from his mother, Madame Maraca, the woman whose silence often carried more authority than a boardroom full of executives. Her eyes, normally soft, now shimmered with a storm barely held back. "Yes," she said, calmly, placing her teacup down. "I want to see your office tomorrow morning." No announcement, no assistant, no PR fluff. Jonathan hesitated. "Will you tell me what this is about?" Madame Maraca looked out the window. "Tomorrow." The next morning, Nardia strolled into the innovative hub headquarters 10 minutes past her reporting time. She wore a mustard jumpsuit, her heels tapping confidently on the polished floor. People turned to look as she walked through. Some stared a second too long. She assumed it was her outfit. By 8:50 a.m., she was showing off her new braids to a colleague when her phone buzzed. Incoming call. HR front desk. She picked up casually. "Hello." A voice she didn't recognize spoke. "Nardia Abraham, please report to the executive office." Immediately, she raised a brow. "Jonathan's office." "Yes." She hung up, blinking, then smiled. "Looks like I might be getting promoted." She whispered to her team. She adjusted her blouse, checked her lipstick in her phone camera, and walked across the floor like she owned it. Outside the CEO's suite, the receptionist stood nervously. "You can go in," she said. "They're waiting." Nardia entered the office confidently. The space was modern, quiet, expansive, sleek. Black desk, floor-to-ceiling windows, leather chairs. Jonathan Okoye sat behind the desk, wearing a charcoal grey suit, his expression unreadable. And next to him, seated with her hands folded gracefully in her lap, was the woman Nardia had kicked 2 days ago. The world tilted slightly. Voice cracked before it even formed. "Guy, good morning, sir." "Good morning, Ma." Madame Maraca didn't return the greeting. She simply stared. Jonathan leaned forward. "Nardia, this is my mother. She asked to see you personally." Silence. Her throat dried. "It's such an honor," she said, trying to smile. Madame Maraca tilted her head. "I think we've met before." Nardia's mouth twitched. "No, Ma, I don't think so. Maybe you've mistaken me for someone else." Madame Maraca reached slowly into her handbag and pulled out a phone. She tapped the screen. The room filled with the sound of Nardia's voice, loud, cruel, and crystal clear. "Do I look like your class? You're lazy. That's why you're begging. I work at Innovative Hub. Your children could never work there." Then the video showed the kick. Nardia took a step back. Her face turned pale. No, Ma, please. I didn't know." Jonathan's voice was tight. "You kicked my mother." Nardia dropped to her knees. "Please, sir, I didn't know. I thought she looked." She didn't say. "You thought she was beneath you," Madame Maraca said, her voice still calm. "You thought poverty meant invisibility. I'm sorry. I swear I am. I didn't mean to." "You meant every word," she cut in. "You said it with pride. You insulted me with certainty." Jonathan stood. His face was blank now, but his voice had weight. "We don't just hire for technical skills here. No, we hire for character, respect, kindness, integrity. Please, I'll do anything. I'll apologize publicly." He pressed the intercom button. "Jane, come in." The secretary entered. "Effective immediately," Jonathan said. Without taking his eyes off Nardia, terminate the employment of Nardia Abraham, revoke all access, clear her desk. Nardia screamed, "Sir, please, please, don't do this. This is my life." Madame Maraca rose and walked to the door. She paused. "I'm not having you arrested," she said without turning. "Not because I can't, but because I want you to learn. You're brilliant, Nardia, but your pride is poison. Let this fall teach you what life tried to whisper." Then she left. Nardia remained on the floor, shaking, sobbing. The office was silent except for the sound of her breathing. By noon, her access card had been deactivated. Her company laptop and badge were returned. Her email address was erased. The Lexus was gone before she could ask about it. The whispers followed her all the way down the elevator. Someone muttered, "She really said that to the CEO's mom." A few stared with tight mouths. Others looked away entirely. Outside the building, the heat was unbearable, but it was nothing compared to the burn inside her chest. She reached the gate. One of the security guards, a younger man, scratched his head awkwardly. "Madam Wetton happen?" She couldn't answer. Her voice had deserted her. She walked until her legs gave up, sat at a bus stop under a torn Coca-Cola umbrella, opened her banking app, 6,120. The weight of reality finally settled on her shoulders. All her plans, the vacation, the iPhone pre-order, the designer handbags gone. But worse than the job, worse than the reputation, worse than the video was Jonathan's face when he said, "You kicked my mother." The silence in Nardia's apartment was louder than Lagos traffic. She sat, curled on her faux leather couch, staring at the empty space where her company laptop used to rest. Her branded throw pillow from Innovative Hub was still on the armrest, bold white letters against navy blue. She hated it now, but she couldn't throw it away. Not yet. 2 days had passed since the fall. She hadn't left the apartment, not even to check the mail. The group chats that once buzzed with work banter and inside jokes had gone cold. Her Tech Queen's WhatsApp group had removed her quietly. Her gym access card was declined that morning when she tried to scan it. For the last time, hoping to feel normal, she had texted 3 former colleagues. No one replied. Her phone rang once. It was her mother. Nardia stared at the screen, heart pounding, then let it ring out. She couldn't bear to hear that voice. Not now, not after all the calls she ignored, not after all the excuses. That night, she deleted her LinkedIn headline, "Front-end engineer at Innovative Hub, #Women in Tech." Gone. Her inbox was full of messages she didn't want to open. By Thursday, the reality hit like a slap. She had bills to pay. Her lecky apartment wasn't a gift. Her car loan didn't vanish with her badge, and her account was now just over 4,000. She updated her resume and began applying for jobs. 42 applications in 2 days, no replies. The ones that did respond asked for availability for unpaid internships. She almost screamed. "I built a mobile banking platform in 3 days," she muttered. "I'm not an intern." By Monday morning, she was out of sugar, data, and pride. When her landlord's assistant dropped off a printed rent due final warning notice under her door, she finally cracked. She opened her laptop again, borrowed Wi-Fi from a neighbor and searched job boards with a different filter this time. Entry level, remote, anywhere. She spotted a listing. Junior software developer, small startup in Asia, 80,000 per month, no benefits, office above a bakery. She blinked. 80,000. That wouldn't cover even half her old rent. But her fingers moved anyway. "Dear hiring manager, I am writing to express my interest." The next day, she got the call. "Can you come for a quick test this afternoon?" A man said, voice raspy, distracted. "Yes," she said instantly. She didn't even ask for the address, just wrote it down and left. The ride to Asia was rough. She took 2 buses, then a bike. The sun roasted her scalp. Her silk blouse clung to her skin. The building looked like it was once a printing shop. She climbed 2 floors of creaking stairs. No receptionist, just a handwritten sign, "Byteworks office, knock." She knocked. A tired voice said, "Come in." The office was barely more than 2 rooms. 3 desks, 1 cracked AC, a whiteboard covered in diagrams and motivational quotes. A man with sunken eyes and an overworked face looked up. "You're Nardia," she nodded. "Tests on the table. You've got 30 minutes." She sat. It wasn't complicated. In fact, it felt like a high school challenge. Simple loop logic, UI layout sketching, a small API fix. She finished in 15. The man took her sheet, glanced at it. You're overqualified. She forced a small smile. But I'm available. He sighed. We can't offer much. No benefits, no insurance. Just you, a laptop, and a project backlog from hell. Nardia inhaled. I'll take it. He blinked. You sure? Yes. All right then, he said, scratching his head. We start tomorrow. 80K per month. Payment first Friday. Don't expect snacks. That night, she lay on a borrowed mattress in her mostly empty living room. She'd sold her TV and microwave for extra cash. As she stared at the ceiling fan spinning unevenly, she whispered to no one, "This is not the end." The next morning, she wore her plainest blouse, tied her hair in a bun, and walked into the startup with a quiet nod. The CTO, his name was Gabanga, handed her a dusty laptop with a cracked screen. "This one still works." Mostly. Her desk was near the window. The sunlight hit the keys, exposing a layer of grime. She wiped it with tissue. No one looked at her with awe. No one called her brilliant, and for the first time in years, she didn't expect them to. By the end of the week, she had fixed 3 bugs, helped a new intern figure out a login error, and shared her umbrella with a security guard downstairs during a surprise rainstorm. That Friday evening, she stepped out to grab bread from the bakery below. As she waited in line, someone tapped her shoulder. She turned. It was Taupe. Nardia froze. Taupe's expression was hard to read, part surprise, part disbelief. Her braids were shorter, her face slightly older, but her eyes were the same. "You remember me now?" Taupe asked quietly. Nardia blinked. "Taupe." She didn't finish the sentence. "I'm sorry," she said, instead, her voice small. "I was a terrible friend." Taupe's lips pressed into a tight line. "You told me we weren't in the same class." "I know," Nardia whispered. They stood in the bakery, surrounded by the smell of flour and frying dough. "I forgot who I was," Nardia said. "I thought success meant cutting people off. I thought I had to prove something." Taupe studied her face. "And now I'm trying to remember what matters." There was a long pause. Then, slowly, Taupe stepped forward and hugged her. Nardia's eyes stung with tears. "You still smell like coconut oil," Taupe murmured. They laughed softly. It was the first time Nardia had laughed in weeks. When she returned to her desk upstairs, the cracked laptop didn't seem so bad anymore. And when the intern asked her a question, she didn't sigh or roll her eyes. She leaned over and explained patiently. The scent of fried plantains filled the air as Nardia stepped off the bus and into the narrow, buzzing paths of the central market. This time, she wore no sunglasses, no statement blouse, no air of detachment, just a plain t-shirt, simple slippers, and a quiet resolve that didn't need a brand name. She walked slowly through the crowd. The market hadn't changed. Same muddy puddles, same shouting traders, same metallic clink of weighing scales. But she had changed. Every step was a memory now. She passed the vegetable stall where she had once barked orders. The same stall where someone had whispered. She kicked an old woman. She passed it silently, head slightly bowed, not in shame, but in awareness. Her eyes scanned the crowd, not for peppers this time, but for a face. Madame Maraca. She didn't know if the woman would be there. Part of her feared seeing her again. Part of her hoped too. Then she saw her folding table under a yellow canopy. A few women in matching white shirts were handing out food items to elderly vendors. Rice, beans, yams. A modest outreach effort. And in the middle of it all stood Madame Maraka. No, disguised this time. Her wrapper was neat, her blouse embroidered, her posture proud but gentle. She wore a head tie in soft coral pink, and her gold earrings caught the late morning sun. Nardia's breath caught in her throat. This was her moment. No cameras, no applause, no escape. She walked forward slowly. The ground beneath her felt heavier. With each step, Madame Maraca turned even before Nardia said a word. Their eyes met. Nardia stopped a few feet away. "Good afternoon, Ma," she said softly. Maraca didn't speak, just looked at her, expression unreadable. Nardia swallowed. "I came to say thank you, and to say I'm sorry again. Deeply. Don't deserve your forgiveness. I know that. I just wanted to stand here and say it anyway." Still, silence. "I thought success meant superiority," Nardia continued, voice steady. "I thought titles and shiny things meant I could look down on people. But life showed me how wrong I was. I saw your strength that day, even when I was blind to it." Madame Maraca finally spoke. "Why now?" Nardia paused, because I couldn't heal until I faced the wound. The older woman studied her face. For a long, quiet moment, there was no theatrical pause, no dramatic sigh, just a simple nod. You've learned, that was all. And it was everything. No speech, no hug, no second chance offered, just a sentence, a confirmation. Nardi blinked back tears. Thank you, Ma. Maraca turned back to the outreach, handing a small bag of beans to an old man in a tattered cap. Nardia didn't linger. She walked away slowly, her chest lighter than it had been in weeks. Back at the office above the bakery, the dusty laptop didn't bother her anymore. She now greeted the cleaner before anyone else. She brought pastries for the interns on Fridays. She helped Beggar, the exhausted CTO, organize the task board when no one asked her to. She even taught the security guard downstairs how to use a budgeting app on his phone. None of it made her rich. None of it made her viral. But for the first time, Nardia felt like she was living with intention, not impression. She was building again, not just code, but character. 3 weeks later, a package arrived, wrapped in gold foil. No sender name, just a handwritten label. Miss Nardia Abraham. Inside, a single cream envelope embossed in gold. The lettering elegant. You are cordially invited to the 10th anniversary gala of Innovative Hub. Venue, the Grand Hall, Victoria Island. Time, 6 p.m. Friday. Dress code, formal. Entry by invitation only. At the bottom corner, 2 initials, M-A-H-E-R. Hands trembled slightly. Madame Maraca. Nardia sat down, the invitation resting on her lap like a weight and a question. Forgiveness, redemption, or something else. She didn't know, but she knew one thing for certain. She would show up. The rain came just before sunset, soft, steady, and cleansing like the sky was washing something away. Nardia stood in front of the mirror in her small flat, the same one she'd once called temporary while dreaming of penthouses. Her dress was simple, long, black, no sequins, no labels. Her makeup was light, barely there. Her hair tied into a modest bun. No jewelry except a small stud in each ear. She took one last look at herself and inhaled. Tonight wasn't about being seen. It was about showing up. The cab ride to Victoria Island stretched long. Through the window, she watched tall buildings glow with status. People in gowns and tuxedos entered glittering lobbies. For a moment, she almost asked the driver to turn back, but when the car pulled up in front of the Grand Hall and the doorman saw the invitation in her hand, he smiled and said, "Welcome, Miss Nardia Abraham." She stepped out into the lights. Inside, the hall looked like a scene from a dream. Gold chandeliers, velvet carpets, live strings playing soft classical music. Waiters drifted between guests with champagne glasses balanced like crystal sculptures. She walked past them all, her heels clicking gently on marble. Heads turned. Some recognized her. Others whispered, "Isn't that the girl who was fired? What is she doing here?" She kept walking, not out of pride, but with peace. Near the back, she took a seat by herself, watched his former teammates mingled with executives. She caught the eye of her old manager. He looked at her, blinked, and turned away. It stung a little, but not as much as it once would have. Then the lights dimmed. The MC stepped onto the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 10th anniversary gala of Innovative Hub. Tonight, we celebrate a decade of innovation, partnership, and progress." Applause. Short film played clips of early office setups, first launches, team retreats, and milestones. The audience laughed and clapped at familiar faces and forgotten hairstyles. Then the MC returned. "And now, too close tonight's celebration, please welcome to the stage the founder and CEO of Innovative Hub, Mr. Jonathan Okoye." Another wave of applause. Jonathan walked up to the podium in a sharp black tuxedo. But he wasn't alone. Madame Maraca stood beside him in a golden lace gown, her head wrapped regal, her presence impossible to ignore. Nardia's heart stopped. They saw her. They wanted her to be seen. Jonathan took the mic. "Tonight marks 10 years since we first opened our doors with nothing but borrowed chairs, second-hand laptops, and an idea. Laughter. But our real success has never been in code. It's been in people. And tonight, I want to tell you a story about one." The room quieted. He looked out into the crowd, not at Nardia, but through it. There was a young woman, brilliant, driven. She rose fast, earned everything with skill. But somewhere along the way, she lost her compass. She mistook pride for strength, and in her fall, she didn't just lose her job, she lost herself. Whispers now. Jonathan paused. But that's not the end of her story. Silence. She didn't stay down. She listened. She learned. She changed. And tonight, with my mother's blessing, we want to honor not who she was but who she became. He turned and extended a hand. Nardia Abraham, please come forward. Gasps, stares, chairs shifted. Nardia sat frozen. Then slowly she stood. Her legs trembled, but she walked, not with flair but with quiet courage. The spotlight followed her. As she reached the stage, Jonathan stepped back. Madame Maraca stepped forward. You hurt me, she said softly, looking into Nardia's eyes. But you came back. You looked me in the eye. You apologized with no expectation of reward. Nardia swallowed hard, blinking fast. That takes more strength than pride ever could, Maraca continued. And I believe this company and this industry needs more people like that. Jonathan nodded. We'd like to invite you back to Innovative Hub, not as a software engineer, but as a mentor, a guide for the young talent who walk through our doors believing titles define them. We want you to teach them what character truly means. The room was dead silent. Nardia stared at them both, then looked at the crowd, some still skeptical, some moved. She leaned into the microphone. Her voice was steady. I accept, she said, not to prove myself, but to serve. Double quotes applause. Slow, at first, then rising, genuine. Later, she stood by the refreshment table sipping water when a young woman approached her. Nervous, Miss I saw what happened before, and what happened tonight. It meant something. Nardia smiled warmly. Then it was worth it. That night, she took the cab home alone. No after party, no photos, no posts. The next Friday, she was back at the market. This time, she carried 3 bags of rice and oil, a crate of eggs, and bread she bought with her own money. She didn't announce herself. She simply walked stall to stall, asking quietly, "You doing okay today?" and handing over what she had. Someone tried to take a picture. She gently asked them not to. "This isn't for posting," she said. "This is just life." And as she handed a small bag of food to a hunched old woman selling herbs, the woman touched her hand and said, "Thank you, my daughter." Nardia smiled, because she finally understood. Humility doesn't lower you. It lifts you where pride never could. If you made it to the end, comment the word awakened, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with your friends and family.